and welcome to Shell Point Today for Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Rich Nation.
And I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi. On today's program, the Director of Facility Operations, Paul Yacovitch, will go over some guidelines for the new northbound cart path between the Woodlands and the Island on Shell Point Boulevard. Also, I'll continue with my interview with Carol Clark about the Chronic Care Management Program.
But first, a couple quick reminders for tomorrow. If you've been missing the sounds of brass horns, woodwinds, percussion, and piano, then not to worry. Jazz and Stuff returns from its hiatus at the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. That's tomorrow at 2:30, so come on out and welcome them back. Also tomorrow, don't forget to look for the Fall Semester's Academy of Lifelong Learning brochure. It will be in your mail.
And on Thursday, it'll be time for the Legends and Legacies program, Women in Fort Myers History. Come out to the Grand Cypress Room at 10 a.m. to learn about the civic-minded and philanthropic women of Fort Myers who fought for our first library, school, hospital, and performing arts center. You're sure to enjoy this intriguing presentation.
Yesterday, we brought you the first part of an informative interview Mary Kay conducted with Director of Outpatient Services, Carol Clark. They discussed the Chronic Care Management Program being offered here at Shell Point and how it could benefit you. We continue now with this interview, so here's Mary Kay and Carol Clark.
A few weeks ago, all residents received a letter via campus mail from Shell Point Health System about the Chronic Care Management Program. I'm here today with Carol Clark, Director of Outpatient Services at the J. Howard Wood Medical Center at Shell Point, to learn more about this service and how it can benefit you. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you, Mary.
Great. Well, I'm glad to have you here today to tell us a little bit more about what is Medicare's Chronic Care Management Program and how can it benefit our Shell Point residents?
Well, it's a long story, but the short end of the long story is that for the last 4 to 5 years, Medicare has actually been reducing payment to primary care physician group practices by 2% a year. So, like many people in our country, we've been trying to do more with less. And finally, about January of 2015, Medicare decided, the real expensive part of our program is hospitalizations and rehospitalizations. So if we could just have the people in primary care work a little harder at keeping people out of the hospital,
of course,
that would be worth a little reward. Well, we looked at it, and as we do sometimes, we watch things before we just jump in. And the longer it went on over the last year, the more I sort of decided, this is really money on the table that we could be having because the Shell Point standard already is to take such good care of residents that we keep them out of the hospital. But if there's a little bit of reimbursement we could have for the hard work that we already do, maybe we should look into how we do that. Yes.
So just to reiterate again, there's no obligation, as I understand it, for Shell Point residents, but it has very many benefits. And among them, I heard you say, reducing hospitalizations possibly. What other benefits would you say are things that would help our residents in making this decision about using the Chronic Care Management Program?
Well, I know a lot of residents, sometimes they just feel better if they can stop by and have their blood pressure checked, or maybe they're on a weight loss or a weight gain plan of care, and they'd like to just come in and use our scales. We try to accommodate all those requests, and this would allow us to actually take credit for that, what we're doing, and they'll be able to have a close relationship with Armando, and he'll be able to pull the providers in when they're needed. There's another advantage that's a little more obscure, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, and that is the hospital systems are under the same scrutiny that we are right now to reduce hospitalizations and rehospitalizations. And right now, Shell Point enjoys a very low percentage of people who go back to the hospital for the same problem they were discharged with.
That's good news.
But if we don't pay attention to hospitalization and rehospitalization, hospitals can actually start declaring they are less willing to work with an organization who doesn't do a good job of keeping people out of the hospital. So in that way, we're trying to do our part of helping Lee Memorial continue to do their part. And right now we're enjoying a very low percentage, but we want to keep that going. So we're actually helping the pavilion as well by taking good care of people and keeping them from having to go back or to go at all.
Right. Now, you mentioned other healthcare providers and certainly other clinicians are specialists that our residents might see for certain kinds of chronic conditions. What other options would residents have if they were considering the chronic care management program through Medicare?
Well, in fact, there are other specialists who would like to be in this position as the primary care person receiving these funds. The typical scenario for that is probably pulmonology, where people with chronic lung diseases often see the pulmonologist every other month or so. Well, we're not in competition for those funds, but only one doctor can take them. So if they're already signed up with another provider, we respect that, and we won't try to sign anyone up who's already obligated that way.
Right. But on the other hand, if they prefer to consider Shell Point Medical Center as their medical home, so to speak, where they will be seeing our clinicians on a variety of medical issues, not just a particular specialist, then that would be the way that they should consider signing up for the chronic care program here through Shell Point.
Yes, and in order to do that, they would need to fill out a stop service for wherever they're signed up.
Okay.
And those documents are readily available.
Okay, very good, very helpful. Now, I think one thing we didn't cover is the cost for the program. Can you explain a little bit, how does this affect Medicare billing or costs for residents in their Medicare services?
Okay. The reimbursement to the practice is $42 and some change per month for any month that we document 20 minutes or more of service towards keeping people out of the hospital. So we will be keeping a log, and any 30-day period that we're able to receive that money, we will tell Medicare that this is what we did. They'll be looking at our records. But it will not come across as a copay or an addition to the resident's bill in any way.
Oh, okay. So this is just an added service that's part of their being a Medicare beneficiary.
Yes.
And it incentivizes the healthcare providers to do their best work to educate and keep on top of the medical conditions of their patients. Okay, very good. Now, one last comment, I suppose, and if you have an opportunity to share anything new with the residents, what would you say to any of them considering this service is whether this is a good option or how else they should consider managing their health care issues?
Signing up for the chronic care management program does not really have a downside. If you sign up, you're going to receive good care. If you don't sign up, you're going to receive good care. But if you sign up, we're going to be able to do more with a little more.
That makes sense. Thank you very much, Carol. I appreciate you talking with us about this chronic care management program today, offered through the Shell Point Medical Center to all residents. So remember, if you wish to sign up, just complete the form that was mailed to you and return it to the medical center. But if you have further questions, you can always talk to somebody at the medical center, 454-2146. during your next clinician visit at the office. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi for Shell Point Today. Last month, construction began on a northbound cart path along Shell Point Boulevard. Before getting out and enjoying the new route between the Woodlands and the island, Paul Yacovitch, Director of Facility Operations, would like to go over a few guidelines that will make travel on the path safer for all of us.
Well, hello Shell Point. We're out here on a beautiful day, and I'm along Shell Point Boulevard here with our Director of Facility Operations, Paul Yacovitch. And we're going to talk a little bit about the brand new paved path that's along the east side of Shell Point Boulevard, recently completed. So Paul, this is a great little thing we've got accomplished here. Tell us about how it came to be and how we're going to use it.
Certainly, no, and it really is a wonderful addition to the Shell Point property. And to me, it's a reflection of many issues that makes Shell Point such a wonderful place, not only to live, but to work as well. One of the things I like to point out is a reminder to everybody that this is county property. This isn't something that Shell Point could arbitrarily say, let's put in a path. It's a result of a lot of negotiation and I might add cooperation between Shell Point, project development in particular, and the county. So again, we enjoy a really close working relationship with the county, and this is sort of the manifestation of that association.
Right.
But the driving factor, as I mentioned earlier, is safety. What this does, it essentially decreases or cuts the amount of traffic that existed on the west side in half. The other aspect of that is that, and the main driving safety factor is that it cuts the amount of traffic that crosses Shell Point Boulevard.
And this is a busy intersection here.
That's correct, at the Woodlands Gate.
Absolutely. So
in half as well.
So cutting off the necessity of crossing back and forth so much is a huge
major safety factor. The other point that I'd like to make is that it isn't a golf cart path as it's been referred to, but it's a multi-use path because not only do pedestrians use it, but golf carts use it, our contractors use it, bicyclists will use it, and then we've come back to the aspect that it's a county road. We're going to have Palm Acres folks using it. We're going to have people from off, just whether they're jogging or bicycling, guests coming and use it. So we have to recognize the fact that it is a county property and that our amount of influence on how it's used is limited. But what we have asked is everybody to read and be associated with the program highlight that went out last week that essentially says the new path is going to accommodate all the traffic going north to the island, and the existing path that coming off the island to point south be used for that kind of traffic. So there has been some comment about our suggestion that pedestrians walk with the flow of traffic. Now, and traditionally, when you're walking on a roadway, it's always been suggested that you walk against the flow of traffic so you can see things coming. However, we feel the fact that by following the flow of traffic by pedestrians, that again cuts down the amount of cross traffic across Shell Point Boulevard, which in our estimation is the greater risk.
The bigger safety factor.
One of the things that we experience it on cart paths all over Shell Point, is you're going to come up behind a pedestrian. I always use it as a way to sort of break the ice, because I'll let them know, because golf carts are quiet. I'll let them know I'm there by a greeting of the day. And that usually opens up a conversation, rather than sneaking up on them and startling them, you know. But the one thing that we're emphasizing across the board to residents and contractors, employees alike, is pedestrians have the right of way. Pedestrians have the right of way, and if everybody follows that, we feel there won't be any issue with pedestrians walking with the flow of the golf cart traffic.
Now, speaking of flow, this now we do have the original path goes all the way south to the golf course entrance and the estuary entrance, but this new one starts at the Woodlands.
Correct.
So we've got this issue where we've got two-way traffic south of the Woodlands on the original path, and then we've got to coordinate how that transition takes place. And I know there's a procedure here that's trying to emphasize safety, maximize safety when transiting northbound and getting onto the new path. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Correct, an excellent point. There are two things that we'd like residents and of course our staff to follow. When coming from the estuary, Eagles Preserve, at all, as much as possible, to use, if I could use the term, the back way. You know, to come in through the east end, the back end of the Woodlands across the Slough Bridge, and exit out on the Woodsong Lane here. If people are coming down from the Springs or just out of necessity coming northbound on the old path, it's going to require them to cross Shell Point Boulevard to get on the new path.
And that can be tricky here at this intersection.
You bet. Very, very busy. And again, this is a focus of our, the aspect of it, of a safety aspect, because it is so busy here. So we're asking all the traffic, car traffic, to cross safely, looking both ways and exercising all those common sense things that we do, and not to cross in front of the gatehouse, but to proceed back through the gatehouse, back to the turnaround behind the gatehouse, and then come back out and enter onto the car pathway and proceed north to the island.
It's a little bit extra time, but a great increase in safety.
You bet, it's
to not
worth
be
it.
mixing it up here. There could be a lot of confusion here.
Exactly.
Somebody might not know exactly what's going on, and then you're setting yourself up for trouble.
Exactly. But in the end, and this is all new, from the feedback that I've received from the majority of residents and staff, I might add, has been very favorable. I made a joking comment to Steve Morton, he's our Mr. Green Jeans, our landscaping guy today, that he's got a little bit more grass to cut. But whatever the effort is that we all make to the maintenance and the use and the safe application of yielding the right of way and just following common courtesy, this far outweighs as a great advantage to our Shell Point community.
And it's a great convenience to not have to be jumping out of each other's way constantly like we've
bet.
been doing for years
You
over
bet.
here. So
You bet.
we're all going to enjoy that a lot. So, well, congratulations on another well-done project. And Shell Point, hope you'll enjoy this wonderful new amenity of Shell Point, the new
Be
path.
safe.
Be safe.
And now it's time to look at all of today's happenings, menus, and the Village Church Connections.
Well, hello and happy Tuesday. This is the happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Caitlin Vanscoy.
And I'm Bev Chandley.
And we're here to give you all of Tuesday's activities. We start bright and early at 7:15 with the Health Connections class, Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That's in the Health Club. Pickleball will be played at the game courts behind the Resident Activity Center at 8 o'clock. Also at 8, round robin tennis is going on at the Woodlands. The stamp ministry will be going on in the stamp room in the Island Tunnel at 8:15. And the Ladies Golf Association group will be meeting at the Shell Point Golf Club at 8:30. At 9:15, the Caregiver Support Group Therapy will be meeting in the conference room of the Medical Center. Also at 9:15, the Memory Care Group will be in the conference room of Behavioral Health. Open painting is available in the Art Studio at 9:15. And also at 9:15, Shuffleboard will be played at the Shuffleboard Courts. Match play mixed doubles tennis will be going on at the Woodlands Tennis Courts at 9:30. And the Suzy Q boat heads to Woody's Waterfront Restaurant at 10 o'clock. You do need to sign up for that. Through the Bible study group will be gathering in the Osprey Room at 10:15. And then we move to 10:30 for the Caregiver Support Group Therapy. They'll be meeting in the conference room of the Medical Center. Also at 10:30, Memory Care Group will be in the conference room of Behavioral Health. Well, that's all I have for the morning. Bev, what's going on for the afternoon?
Well, Caitlin, we're going to start with 12:30, a mixed progressive bridge game. That'll be in the game room of the Woodlands. And we have Health Connections class at 1 o'clock, Skin That Glows at Any Age. That's in the Oak Room of the Woodlands. At 1:15, we have a summertime bingo game. That's at the Social Center. Go down, have some fun. At 1:15, we also have the Knitters group in the Osprey Room.
And the Women's Ministry's Prayer for Missions will be in the hospitality room of the Village Church, also at 1:15. And our last activity of the day is at 1:45, Fun and Fitness at the community room of King's Crown. We're happy to see you here today, and we will see you back here again tomorrow.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Island Cafe, the sandwich special is a blackened tilapia sandwich with coleslaw for $7.75. Dinner specials on the Palm Grill are marinated pork tenderloin for $15.95 or shrimp romesco also for $15.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to the Village Church Connections. My name is Don Pullen. This morning I have with me Jim and Judy Mayer, and they're residents of Shell Point here, and we have a new program that we'd like to introduce to the Shell Point community. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Jim?
Sure, I'd be glad to. We have recently obtained some materials from an organization called Grief Share, and it's normally a 13-week course of dealing with the losses that people have experienced when they've lost a loved one. So that, in a nutshell, is what this is all about.
I know, Judy, that you've already seen some of the videos that go along with this. Mm-hmm. How did you find them to be? What were some of the topics that they covered?
I felt like it was very well done. Everything is updated from the old. If you've been through Grief Share before, this is all new filming, probably not new concepts, but there are a lot of people that they interview. Mm-hmm. And there are 30 minutes of they're not actors, they're in real life doing a group. And so we have probably professionals speaking in, but lots of the grieving people themselves.
So we get to interact with them via video.
Right. There's also a workbook that goes along with it. This Grief Share workbook is a very effective tool to enable people to really delve in more detail into their own specific grief situation and some of the challenges that they're facing.
Nobody's going to see your workbook, though, and what you write in it.
No, it's personal.
It's very personal, and you can skip parts of it that you don't really feel is for you.
What are some of the topics that we'll cover when we meet?
Well, it starts off with, is this normal? And of course, we all have questions about that. But then there's challenges of grief. There is the whole journey of grief, how it affects relationships, subject of anger, some of the complicating factors.
Anger is normal, and we encourage it because that way you get over your grief faster. Mm-hmm. It's not thought of in our culture as a positive, but it is very positive because it keeps you moving forward. You don't have to stay angry, but just accept that you are, and you're not a bad person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We found it to be a really excellent program from what we've seen so far, and we're excited about participating in it. The reality is that there are three components to the sessions: the video, the discussion, and the workbook. And each week for these, we're actually only doing it for 11 weeks this time, this first trial, but we really want to encourage people to consider taking part in it.
They don't have to speak.
No.
If they don't feel like it, they can say, I'm grieving too much. I'm afraid that I can't speak. That's perfectly all right. Whatever you feel like doing in the sessions, that's fine.
Yeah.
And who would be interested in attending a class like this?
We really believe that anyone who has experienced the loss of a loved one, either recently or in the past, that has perhaps not fully dealt with some of their grieving issues, would be a good candidate for this.
If you've never grieved a loss, never recognized it as significant enough, it will still be there, even though it's much later. But it might come out in physical symptoms, it might come out in emotional system, like depression or a lot of things, you might just become flat and not know what you feel because you haven't explored the grief.
And it's not only the death of a loved one, there are other circumstances that we go through that sometimes challenges with our children, when we move from a place that we've lived for a long time, when we leave a job. All those kinds of things can be a part of that grief element, can't they?
They can to some degree, maybe in a lesser degree. This is really primarily focused on the death of a loved one. That's the heart of what this is all about. Those other elements are a part of it, but it is more significantly the trauma that is created in a person's life when a loved one dies. It could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be a parent, it could be a dear friend. But the reality is, it's an experience that anyone in Shell Point would be a candidate for this. And I want to emphasize that this is not just for church people. This is really for anybody.
Great.
Because everyone experiences grief.
And most importantly now, when does it begin to meet? What's the time of the sessions as they meet every week?
We will be meeting every Thursday starting September 1st for 11 weeks at 2:15 until 4. So it's almost a 2-hour session every Thursday starting September 1st. This book is really a very extensive book, and we're going to charge a $15 charge for the book itself, but the 11 weeks of courses are free.
So that begins Grief Share on Thursday, September 1st. It'll meet every Thursday, 2:15. For about 90 minutes or so at the chapel at the Village Church. You'll see Jim and Judy's phone number in Shell Point Life if you'd like to give them a call. But we want to encourage you to participate in this wonderful program about grieving. And thank you for watching the Village Church Connections.
Thanks for joining us today. Come back tomorrow when Ruth Duber will join David Lee in his kitchen, along with a special guest to show us a new and exciting way to cook steak. And we'll get you into the mood for the return of Jazz and Stuff. Until then, this has been Shell Point Today for Tuesday, August 16th. I'm Mary Kay Grimaldi.
And I'm Rich Nation, thanking you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again here tomorrow.